Good morning, everyone. We're going to take a look at combining our simplifying and factoring skills. So here, notice how I have this whole mess of terms. So before I can get to the factoring step, I've got to simplify things. So all I'm going to do is start by regrouping. So I have x squared plus 14x plus 3x plus 5 plus 25. So I've regrouped all my terms. It's a plus 5 because this is a positive 5, so just keep that in mind. Now I can see that 14x and 3x can be combined to get 17x, and plus 5 and plus 25 is going to be plus 30. Now I have this simplified trinomial. Now I'm good to factor. So I can create my box. I know x squared's got to go in there. I know plus 30's got to go in here. I already know x times x is x squared. What I'm left with is, what are the factors of 30? And here's our complete list. So remember, I'm looking for factors of 30 that are going to add up to be 17. So as I look through this list, the obvious candidate is 2 and 15. So I'm going to try it. Let's throw a plus 2 in here. Let's throw a plus 15 in here. All right, what's 15 times x? Well, that's going to be a positive 15x. What's x times 2? It's going to be a positive 2x. And sure enough, if I look at these two terms here, those are going to combine to get me 17x. So I know I'm good. So these two factors work. And there we have it. So here's our factored form. So just to reiterate, we went from here to regrouping to simplified form so that we could factor. All right, this next one, sorry, I had to make an edit. I made a typo, which would have led to an impossible one to factor, which would be pretty unuseful to us. So here, the first thing I want to point out is notice how you have x minus 3 times x minus 5, and then subtracted by 8x. So order of operations says we got to take care of that first. X minus 3, I can't do anything with that. X minus 5, I can't do anything with that. So I have to multiply. So I'm going to make my box, but this time, instead of looking for the factors, I know them. So now it's time to multiply them to see what the resulting trinomial is. So what's x times x? X squared. Negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Negative 5 times x is negative 5x. And negative 5 times negative 3 is positive 15. All right, so if I write all that out, I have x squared minus 3x minus 5x plus 15. But don't forget, I have this extra minus 8x sitting around up here. So I got to bring that back down. Can't forget it. All right, and so now I see a minus 3x minus 5x. That's negative 8x minus 8x more. It's going to be negative 16x total. All right, so now I have my simplified trinomial. All right, with that said, now I got to do something with it. So let's factor this. I'm just going to write it again for clarification. All right, so we've got our box. We know x squared is going to be in it, and we know plus 15 is going to be in it. I already know x times x is x squared. Now the factors of 15 are 1 and 15, or 3 and 5. Remember, I'm looking for factors of 15 that are going to add up to get me negative 16x. So 1 and 15 look like the candidates. But I want it to multiply to a positive 15, but then add up to a negative 16. So that suggests that my factors are actually going to have to be negative here, because a negative 15 times a negative 1 is positive 15. And then I see a negative 15 times x is negative 15x. And negative 1 times x is negative 1x. And sure enough, when I combine these two, that's going to be negative 16x. So that's good. So now I know my factors are x minus 15 times x minus 1. All right. So with all of that said, this last one is more of a challenge puzzle. So if you're feeling good, you understand the general simplification and factoring, and you want to attempt the practice problems, feel free to head to the Desmos activity and get to it. If you're thinking you're more on the challenge track, I would stay tuned for this one. Or if you're just interested, feel free to stay tuned for this final one. All right. So the big thing is basically, for example 3, I've brought in everything from the first 2 examples. So there's some adding and subtracting. There's multiplying binomials. I promise I can speak. All right. So order of operations is going to tell me that I can't simplify anything inside my parentheses, so it's time to multiply them. So let's throw this right here. I see a 3x plus 2 and an x minus 1. 3x times x is going to be 3x squared. X times 2, here's my positive 2x. Negative 1 times 3x is negative 3x. And finally, 2 times negative 1 is going to be negative 2. All right, so if I write all this out, I see 3x squared plus 2x minus 3x minus 2. But then I can't forget to bring down all of my terms here. So I need that 2x squared to come down. And I need that minus 6 minus 5x to come down. So even though I guess I've multiplied these 2 things in the middle, I still have a giant mess here. So let's start combining like terms. I see an x squared and an x squared, so 2x squared plus 3x squared should be 5x squared. I see a 2x minus 3x, which would be negative 1x minus 5x more. So that'd be minus 6x total. And then I see a negative 2 minus 6, which would be negative 8. All right, so now I have this simplified form. And now my objective is to factor that. All right, so I'm just going to rewrite it for clarity. All right, here's my 5x squared. Here's my negative 8. All right, the first difference on this one is it's a 5x squared. So if one side is x, the other one's got to be 5x. Because 5x times x is 5x squared. Great. Now I got to take a look at what are the factors of negative 8. Well, the factors of 8 are 2 and 4, 1 and 8. To get a negative 8, I know one of my factors is going to have to be negative. Now the tricky part comes from what combination of factors is going to work here. So in my case, I'm thinking, well, I'm going to have to multiply by a 5 somewhere. So 1 and 8, I'm going to hold off on that. Let's test 2 and 4. So maybe I say, let's put a minus 2 down here, plus 4. If this combo doesn't work, I would totally take these and I would flip them around and put a -2 up here and a +4 down here just to see if things are different, because 5x and x are different here. All right, I see 5x times -2, which would be -10x. And I see x times +4, which is +4x. All right, and when I take a look, +4x and -10x are going to combine to -6x. So I'm good to go. So my factored form then is going to be 5x plus 4, x minus 2. All right. So there you have it. We simplified, and then we factored. So for your quiz, this would not be something for a 3. This is more challenging content, but it's totally a possibility for a 4. So take a good look at it. Email me if you have questions. Make sure you're getting the practice assignment done, and make sure you're studying for your quiz on Thursday or Friday, depending on what your in-person day is.